The Fitbit Charge 5 and Fitbit Luxe are two very similar fitness trackers with a budget price. So I'll go over the similarities and differences to help you make the best purchase. Now, as for what both of these devices do: heart rate monitoring, step and distance tracking, workout tracking, and sleep monitoring with a sleep score. Now, I found both of these to be pretty hit or miss when it came to detecting workouts. For weightlifting, for example, actually every Fitbit that I've used just pretty much completely useless when it comes to weight training. I have a dumbbell set, I have a pull-up bar, any sort of weight training that you do at all, anything that's not like actual cardio, these really have no idea when you're doing that. Cardio, I think about 80% of the time, both of these could detect when I was on a run. Sometimes I'd be actually just on a walk, a light walk, and they'd be able to detect. But the other 20% of the time, I would even be on this treadmill sometimes, and it would just have no idea, it wouldn't kick in and start an automatic workout. It just wouldn't know, neither of these devices. Now, both of these devices do connect to Bluetooth, and they connect to your phone using the Fitbit app. Actually, you need that app and your phone to even set these up in the first place. But on that app, you can see a lot of detailed stats, and that's especially useful for the sleep tracking because it will tell you the different cycles that you're in sleep, how many times you've woken up in the middle of the night. So these two are both very useful for sleep tracking. Now, with both of these devices, you can set them to get notifications from your phone, and you can reply to text messages, but they're with pre-made replies, and you can't actually like generate your own text messages like out of the blue. If you want to text somebody, you can't actually do it with these, and there's no keyboard or anything like that. So if those basic fitness tracking features are all that you need and a clock interface to go with it, then either of these devices will do the job. But here are the differences that set these two fitness trackers apart. So display, this is the biggest difference between these devices really. The Charge 5 has a lot larger and brighter display than the Fitbit Luxe. It's not as extreme as the difference between like the Charge 5 and the Fitbit Versa 4, but it is bigger and you can see a little bit more information on the Charge 5. It just makes it easier to see everything at a glance, but there's not a whole lot more stats that it can pack onto the screen that's still this small. The Charge 5 also has longer battery life. This thing lasts for up to 7 days, where the Luxe lasts for up to 5 days. And this did come into play quite a bit, especially if you're using the always on display. Now, the Charge 5 has a built-in GPS, while the Luxe has GPS, but you have to be connected to your phone to use it. So it's really just using your phone's GPS. So yeah, internal on the Charge 5, and it's using your phone on the Luxe. Now, heart rate tracking is something where both of these devices were similar, but also differed quite a bit. So right now, it might be hard to see, but these are both, as you can see, getting me at about 80 beats per minute for the heart rate. But I find that the Luxe fluctuates a lot more than the Charge 5. The Charge 5 isn't even particularly accurate when I compared it to like the Versa 4. That one is way more consistent. The Charge 5 would kind of bounce up and down, especially if I was doing like strenuous activity. But like on the treadmill, for example, I would get some really crazy low readings on the Luxe, while the Charge 5, it'd be bouncing like kind of high. I'd have something like maybe like 100 beats per minute on the Luxe, while the Charge 5 would be like at 140 or something. Or I do manual labor, like I spin a sign and stuff like that, and the Luxe would just, it would fluctuate to the point where the readings wouldn't even make any sense at all. So I'm not sure exactly what the cause is for that, but I did find the Luxe to be less accurate in terms of the heart rate tracking, especially when I did it like manually and just counted the beats myself. The Luxe was a little bit off, but that was in occasional instances. Usually these devices are about within 5 beats per minute of each other. So if you need heart rate tracking, these will both do well. Just throw out some of the outlier readings that you're going to get from the Luxe. Now, the Charge 5 has an ECG app for analyzing your heart rhythm. It didn't find any issues with my heart, so I can't really speak on its effectiveness aside from that. Something that gets overlooked a lot is the fit. So both of these devices are comfortable to wear, but I find the strap that's on the Charge 5 to be a lot easier to put on and take off. You have this kind of traditional watch strap on the Fitbit Luxe, and you'll pull this out, and it has this like little kind of like sharp thing where you know have to use to take it off and put it on. And I just find it to be a little bit clunky, but you know, it's just like a regular watch. If you're used to that, then it's no problem. Whereas the Charge 5, it has a thicker wrist strap, and I like the little kind of like buckles that it has right here, the little like just holes, so that you can snap it off a lot easier than you can with the Fitbit Luxe. And it's actually a bigger deal when putting them on. So I find it a lot easier to put the Charge 5 on, and it's very easy to adjust and just snap it into whichever hole that you want. And the Luxe, I did fiddle around with it a little bit more to actually get it to stay on my wrist. But both of these devices are about even in comfort. I pretty much don't notice them at all. In fact, I would even say that the Luxe might even be better in terms of comfort just because it's a little bit smaller. It won't like bump into anything. Now, in terms of speed, I did find the Charge 5 to be snappier than the Luxe. I'm not sure if there actually is a different processor inside the Charge 5, but sometimes when double tapping, the Charge 5, it would turn on pretty much every single time, but the Luxe, sometimes I would double tap, or I would tap to like go to the next screen or whatever, because you have to tap it to see your heart rate, then versus the date, versus, you know, all the little information that you can see. And sometimes it'll be a little bit delayed or just wouldn't be responsive on the Luxe. Also, as you'll see, like on the home screen of the Charge 5, you can see a lot more information. Right here, you can see the date, and you have to tap to get to there. See Thursday to see the date on the Fitbit Luxe. So all the attributes that I just listed are actually in favor of the Charge 5, which is going to make my verdict sound a little bit strange. Now, if you're only deciding between these two fitness trackers specifically, then I would recommend getting the Fitbit Luxe. Aside from the sometimes inaccurate heart rate sensor, it's almost identical to the Charge 5 in terms of tracking performance, like tracking your sleep, and I don't find the slightly larger and brighter screen or the ECG app and the bump in the battery life to be enough of an improvement over the Luxe to make it worth the $30 or more that it costs to get the Charge over the Luxe, depending on where you look. So I recommend either saving the money and getting the Luxe, or if you want something significantly better than both of these devices, then look into the Fitbit Versa 4. And I compared that to the Charge 5 in a different video.